squad? Mizzy World Entertainment is here to present a Family Blitz exclusive. I tried to be patient, wait for Vern and I to get on the same page, but we be both busy working, grinding, putting stuff together. So I had to dive in and give this exclusive right here, right now, because I can't wait for this one. The news has finally come down. Deshaun Watson has finally gotten the suspension, 6-game suspension, but the NFL has chosen to appeal this suspension that was handed down by a third-party arbitrator, a former judge, a former female judge. Let's get into this Deshaun Watson versus the NFL thing, because Deshaun Watson's party is now suing the NFL for appealing the suspension. So let's dive right into it. The first one, let's dive into the first act, the agreement. Now, when it came out that the NFL and the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson was expecting the decision from the judge to come down on the suspension on Monday, it was also released that the NFLPA and the NFL agreed that regardless of which way the decision went, neither party was going to appeal if the suspension didn't favor one party or the other. You get what I'm saying? Like, if Deshaun Watson got a year-long suspension, the NFLPA agreed that they wasn't going to appeal the suspension, and the NFL, if Deshaun got something shorter than what they were suggesting, wasn't going to appeal the decision. But they reneged on that agreement. The first and foremost, you should not make an agreement with a pre-deposition of how you think the outcome is going to be. You should make an agreement based off of, regardless of what the outcome is going to be, this is our agreement. You can't say, yeah, we agreed to not appeal any suspension, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking there's no way that this female judge is going to give Deshaun Watson less than a year-long suspension. And if she does, we're going to appeal. No, that's not how business works. Y'all agreed to have this third-party arbitrator come in and make the decision on what his punishment should be, because you wanted to wipe your hands of any negative backlash from a too-long suspension or a too-short suspension. Point blank period. And y'all folded under immediate pressure. Y'all folded under immediate pressure, just like the Cardinals did when it came out that they had the study clause in there for Kyler Murray. Y'all immediately folded. I don't know what that is, but the NFL damn sure ain't willing to stand on their optics and their decision, because it was y'all's decision to bring in a third-party arbitrator. At the end of the day, Roger Goodell could have just handed down the suspension that he felt as though it should have been handed down from jump. Instead of bringing in the third-party arbitrator, having them hand down the suspension, now you appealing the suspension, now Deshaun Watson is suing y'all. It's just a mess. It's a mess. Let's move into the second one. My number one question with the NFL is, aside from y'all wanting to save y'all face, why does Deshaun Watson deserve a year-long or a year-long indefinite suspension? They saying give him at least a year and then indefinite after that. When, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the facts of the case. The facts of the cases are that there's 24 women to have alleged that Deshaun Watson committed sexual misconduct against them. He settled 23 out of 24 cases, and his lawyer said just earlier today he's trying to settle the final lawsuit, the final civil lawsuit with the final claimant. So you got all these cases that are about to be ended, and they're all allegations. The second fact is that this same group of allegations went to a federal court and to a federal jury to see if it was worthy enough of going to trial. And it was shot down twice. So twice it went to a grand jury to say it was not worthy enough and didn't have enough evidence to go to a criminal trial. So there's not enough evidence that Deshaun Watson committed any crime as far as the judicial system goes. So then let's look at the next one. For one, Deshaun Watson has been in the league since 2017. He got paid in 2020. He had a 4-year contract extension from the Houston Texans worth $160 million at the beginning of the 2020 season. We all know that the 2020 pandemic hit, and then all that happened. Deshaun Watson had a pretty bad year. And, well, he had a good year, but the Houston Texans had a pretty down year. They finished like 4-12 that year. But it also came out that Bob McNair was a racist owner, and Deshaun Watson at that point no longer wanted to play for him. At that point is when all these allegations started coming out. From September when he got his contract extension until January, there was no allegations. It wasn't until March, and the pandemic hit, and then the news came out that Bob McNair was a racist owner, that all these allegations were coming out. So to think about all these women didn't come out until he was worth $160 million. When he was making $13 million a year on his rookie salary, none of these women were coming out. He had no allegations in college. He had no allegations in high school. Now, I'm not a female. I can't put myself in the female shoes of how it feels to have a man approach you like that or offer you money, especially if he got a name and a status. I can't speak on that, but I definitely feel as though like there's a difference between you maybe agreeing to give a person some sexual favors for in return monetary value, and somebody coming in and ripping your clothes off, or somebody throwing you in the trunk, or somebody just utterly taking your womanhood away from you. That's just my opinion, but I would love to have a woman to come on to express how she feels about, let's say, a sexual agreement and then sexual assault and stuff like that. So that's the nooks and crannies of the case. I don't feel as though Deshaun Watson should have to lose his entire livelihood, maybe because he likes happy endings. I don't get that. I'm totally against that. We know prostitution is a crime in America, but we also know that prostitution has been the number one business since man has been walking the face of the earth, and is never going to stop. It's never going to change. We have legal brothels. What it was, the Bunny Ranch. I used to watch that mug on Cinemax 11 p.m. every night. Favorite late night show. What you talking about? So you can go in, and we all seen Rush Hour 2. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we lauded and beloved Wilt Chamberlain because he said he slept with 1,000 different women. You got to be crazy or insane in your mind if you think that man could brag about that in 2020. To sleep with 1,000 different women and not have one allegation would be impossible nowadays. Would be impossible. But let's move into the final thing for me. It's just everybody trying to save face with Deshaun Watson when at the end of the day, this was not a crime. There's not enough evidence for this man to be taken to a criminal trial. So why are we sitting up here and treating this man like he's a criminal? You had the Cleveland Rape Clinic come out and say they're in disbelief at this suspension, this, that, and the third. Was you in disbelief that Donald Trump, who was accused of raping underage girls during the time of his presidential election, that he won Ohio in 2016 and 2020? Was you in up in arms then? Did y'all march? Did y'all do anything to show any frustration that Donald Trump, a known alleged rapist, he was on camera saying, just grab him by the yim saying, you feel what I'm saying? And he was accepted as being your presidential candidate. But God forbid Deshaun Watson, a quarterback in the NFL, only gets suspended 6 games because he likes to pay for a happy ending. I know it sounds bad, but honestly, when you look at what the judge found, she said it was prostitution, which means both parties agreed to it. You get what I'm saying? So I don't like that the NFL is trying to save face on the back of a young black man, a rich young black man. I don't like the fact that that Ohio rape clinic is trying to use Deshaun Watson's face and name and likeness as something to catapult them, when at the end of the day, he's not a rapist. It was sexual misconduct that there's no evidence for because it was shot down by a grand jury twice. Big Ben was found criminally negligent, and Adrian Peterson was found criminally negligent, and they both got 6-game suspensions. There's no evidence that Deshaun Watson should get a year or let's not even talk about an indefinite suspension. There's no parameter for that, just for the NFL to try to save their face. Y'all the biggest by far company, sports entity in North America. And y'all still got to try to rake up all the fans, rake them all up. We need everybody to be a fan of the NFL. Y'all going to lose a lot of fans if y'all keep alienating these athletes that don't deserve alienating. And before I get out of here, I'm going to say this one thing. Deshaun Watson already missed a year. He didn't get paid last year. He missed the entire year last year. How long is this man supposed to be punished for something that is not even a crime in our judicial system? Please let me know. Like, comment, share, subscribe to me. I think that the NFL is going to take a huge L in this appeal against Deshaun Watson, and I'm rocking with Deshaun Watson. For any female that's willing to come on and discuss this sexual misconduct, prostitution, and how it may affect women, please reach out to me. I'd definitely love to bring you on. Y'all know what it is. Deshaun Watson versus the NFL. Gang.